Sit with Jesus for a moment. Let the striving quiet down. Because what we are about to consider is not something we achieve, but something that has been revealed. For a long time, righteousness seemed like something just out of reach, something defined by law, measured by obedience, weighed against failure. The law showed us what was right, but it also showed us how far we fall. It revealed God's holiness, but it could never give us God's righteousness. It could diagnose the disease, but it could not cure it. And then something changed. Not because humanity improved, not because we finally figured it out, but because God acted. A righteousness not rooted in law-keeping was made visible. It did not contradict what God had already spoken. It was quietly testified to all along, hinted at in the law and echoed by the prophets. But now it stood fully revealed. This righteousness comes through faith in Jesus Christ. Not through keeping the law, not through background, ritual, or religious works. It comes to all who believe, because the truth is the same for everyone. Every one of us has sinned. Every one of us has fallen short of God's glory. That truth humbles us, but it also prepares us, because what follows is not condemnation, but grace. God does not justify us reluctantly or partially. He declares us righteous as a gift, something undeserved, something freely given. Not earned through effort, but granted through grace. And this justification comes through redemption, the costly act of being bought back, which is found only in Christ Jesus. Jesus did not simply teach us about forgiveness. He became the place where forgiveness could happen without compromising God's righteousness. God publicly displayed him as the means by which sin be dealt with fully and finally. Blood was required because sin is not theoretical. It is real. It is costly. And God did not ignore it or excuse it. Instead, he showed his righteousness by addressing sin directly. In his patience, he had passed over sins committed before, not because they didn't matter, but because the payment was coming. At the cross, mercy and justice met. God remained righteous, and he became the one who makes sinners righteous. Sit with that for a moment. This means your standing with God is not fragile. It does not depend on today's performance. It does not rise and fall with your consistency. If you are in Christ, your righteousness rests on what he has done, and his righteousness has been imputed to you. But this grace does not lead to carelessness. It leads to gratitude. It doesn't produce pride, it produces humility. When we understand the cost of our redemption, we don't take sin lightly and we don't take grace for granted. So today, rest here. Not in yourself, not in your effort. Sit with Jesus, who carried the weight you could not, and trust the righteousness God has already provided. Grace has spoken, and it is enough.